Welcome to the next video in the Senteon onboarding repository. So here we'll be discussing some of the report generation you are capable of doing. Again, you will need admin privileges depending on how your users are set up to do all of the functionality I'll demonstrate here today. So the first report I always recommend everyone generating is going to be a simple executive summary. So at this point in the story, we have only deployed Senteon in learning mode. We have not made any changes. We have only deployed in learning mode. So we can do a quick executive summary, and we do have some custom options. Drift status is not going to be valuable for the machines as they have not been set up yet. Omit unmanaged is also not valuable since they are not set up yet, but we can customize which compliance frameworks we may or may not care about. So you can see here, we'll go ahead and do CMMC, New York DFS, ISO, and so forth. And then this will be the first report. In this environment, we've deployed about 4 licenses, and we're going to get a quick glance as to what's going on in the environment. So by default, our scores will always reflect CIS. So you can see here between 4 machines, we have about 4,000 policies non-compliant and only about 2,000 that are. But we can break this up to only the policies required by CMMC, ISO, New York DFS, and you'll see all of them will have different requirements based on which framework we're looking at. The interesting thing here, you can see here in this panel, the consistency summary. So across our environment, you can see which policies are actually being applied or not applied across machines consistently. So in this instance, across 10 different machines, we have what looks about 6 different combinations of settings across 10 devices. So if I'm presenting this to a prospect or a client, this is a huge value prop Senteon shows at a glance, because how are we supposed to work as admins, MSPs, and other to standardize environments and harden and work in them if we don't know what standardized is, if we don't know what correct is? So a big goal of every Senteon partner is to bring this number way down. Risk heat map. So we do map to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So this is a real example of all of the techniques that you may see going into an environment. These are all the ones that are most likely to be successful based on your current security posture, only looking at configurations. We have explanations on which step of those all are, but you can very easily at a glance see all of the risk. And that's a very basic executive summary report. The next report I recommend generating is going to be an endpoint report. So you could choose which tenant. I'll go ahead and do my tenant here. And I do recommend doing a gap assessment for everything since you haven't set this up yet. So I'll go ahead and generate a gap assessment. And the fun thing here is to understand what those differences in each baseline are. So I'll go ahead and click through a few of these machines just to show you what I mean. So in this environment, you can see we have 4 machines set up in this tenant. This machine here is at 74 correct policies. This machine here, 77. This machine here, 82. They're all different. Again, if I was presenting this to a prospect, I would highly emphasize to you to emphasize this point to them. Let the client you're presenting to understand how important it is to get all these numbers the same, because plus or minus 5 policies may not seem like a big deal, but I promise you, I've been on calls where plus or minus 5 was the difference of LLM&R and LAN manager being available versus not. So you don't know which of those 5 policies are or are not getting hit consistently by your domain, and it's important to harden everything locally on the device level to assure things are actually put in place. Of course, you want to see a little bit more about these machines. So we do show you all those gaps with what's recommended from CIS versus what's currently on the box. So very simply, I can also add some additional fields. I can say I want to do this by implementation group, by safeguard, STIGs. You can add in any of those frameworks I was talking about. So you can see all of this getting added. You can do as many as you want. And now you have a very straightforward database of every policy that is being required by each individual framework in alignment to CIS and what they have determined through their research is required. You will notice some blanks. So very easily we can hit this filter icon And we can filter out all the blanks to assure we stay in line with only the policies the client wants to see. So you can see now there's no more blanks. To take that a step further, if we wanted to do this by safeguard, we can drag this up to the collapsible row here. And now you can see we're just going to do this by safeguard recommendation. Maybe we want to take into consideration what implementation group each safeguard is. You can create additional subgroups. So now you can see exactly which policies sit into which implementation group and so forth by control. However you format this report is perfectly fine. You can export all of it to Excel very simply. And as we all remember, the cool part about Senteon is not just telling you what's wrong, it's the fact we actually fix it. Tune in for some more of the tutorials, and we'll be getting to this point very soon. Thank you, and enjoy the report generation.